Hello everyone and welcome to Graveyard Keeper. This is a cozy crafting game with the basic theme of being a keeper of a graveyard. As you can see, you start off walking home in the rain, knowing that someone misses you. Oh, it's a call from your wife. And then nothing. I think we just got isekai'd. You've merely turned a page in your life. Chapter awaits ahead. But I need to go home. Can I go home? There's always a way to get home. Your new home is a graveyard. Does that mean I'm dead? It means you're a graveyard keeper. But I need to go home to my love. Then you need to be a good graveyard keeper. You should dig up Jerry. He'll help you sort everything out. Who? So let's get to it. We wake up in a small cottage, still with our memories of home and the life before, ready to get into the thick of it and dig up this Jerry guy that we were asked to dig up. After a quick examination of the cabin and some showboating on my part. Yeah, come on. Yeah, we get it. We're in a cabin. We're somewhere in the woods. Let's go. We've got things to do. Alright. Cool chest. Can't open up the cellar right now. Good place for making cozy. Sure will be. Ooh. Can't open up the cellar. Ah, there's a grave behind the house. Okay. So this is the Jerry, our talking skull companion. He tells us thanks for digging him up, and that he can kind of remember what we're doing next. Although, he also wants some beer. So that's our first quest, is to go and get Jerry some beer. In the process of talking to Jerry, we also learn that we should probably not talk about what happened to us outside, and that he's going to try and remember to help us. We then meet with a communist donkey, who also is the one who gives us our corpses from the morgue. Without him, we don't make a lot of money. But at least he's nice. Kind of. Making our way downstairs, we began our new job of the graveyard keeper and start dismembering the bodies for meat? Okay. I guess. Okay. We are actually going to cook and eat this meat. That's not creepy at all. Right. Jerry then tells us we need to pick up the body and take it to the graveyard to bury it. Of course, it makes sense. We're a graveyard keeper after all. So we pick up our first victim and take them to the graveyard. Digging a hole for our first victim, we place them in and cover them in dirt. Like you're supposed to. We get a burial certificate to exchange for cash. Huh. Okay, I like that a lot. Oh, here comes the bishop, a vain man who is in charge of the religious part of the graveyard and the church. He wants us to make it look prettier, or so he'll say in a moment. He tells us the last graveyard keeper was here 30 years ago, and that the graveyard has become quite a mess since then, and he won't promote us to cleric until we fix it. So, off we go. Next, we make our way into town to the local pub owner Horadric. He'll be the one we trade with the most in our main source of income. We return to this bar often, which by the way is called the Dead Horse. He's who we give the certificates of burial to in exchange for money. However, the town is broke, and therefore so are we. So we need to change that. He also wants our meat, but he wants us to get a stamp of approval first to buy it. Again, I have no idea who the snake person is or why they want the meat from the bodies, but Jerry, that's a bit fucked up. Jerry also wants us to buy the beer from here. Next, Jerry wants us to go talk to the astrologer. He's a smart man who uses to steal books from the libraries when he was a kid. Jerry wants us to go and talk to him because he has a wine cellar, or at least knows how to get into the wine cellar in the church. Yes, again, Jerry is thinking of alcohol. He thinks they might have be connected somehow to be able to unlock our cellar in our cottage. So, we make a mental note and head off to go and find this astrologer. We decided to go spruce up the graveyard after talking to Jerry. Removing these dead bushes and investigating how to repair the gravesites. Oh, to which I should mention the technology screen and the tech points. There are three kinds of points. Blue, which are related to spirit and anything to do with the graveyard upkeep of the church, that will reward you with these. The red ones are for physical labour and are rewarded for doing labour or crafting tasks. And lastly are the green ones, which are rewarded for doing things like farming or anything to do with plants or living things. These points are used for upgrades and technology, things like sawmills, furnaces, and eventually some very esoteric things that come into play that allow automation. But you'll see that as we get later on. Further in, I should say. Now we finally make our way downstairs into the cellar and see a bald man trying to mess with our stuff. What the hell, who is he? And what is he doing in our house? Apparently he wants through the gate, which we come to find out is the church wine cellar. That's the place that Jerry also wants to get into. And with some further investigations, we find out we've now got a building project, or rather I should say, a DIY project for our own house. We need to know how to get these three materials, which obviously come from crafting. After all that running around, we need to take a quick nap, and a much needed nap. This is the main way we regain stamina and health in the early parts of the game. Sleeping is obviously very important for other things too. But we were rudely awoken by a ghost. He doesn't like one of his neighbours in the graveyard and wants us to throw one of them in the river. Okay dude, just don't hoard us, I guess. So we go get a special license and dig up this guy. There you go. After digging him up, we make our way over and throw him in the river. Yep, just throw him in the river. This is totally normal. Wait, throw him in the river. Come on. Ah, there we go. Easy as pie. And after we quickly pick these berries for some nutrients, we get ourselves yelled at by Jerry. Apparently we wasted good materials by throwing the body in the river, and he wants us to burn them in the future because that'll reward us with the burial certificates which give us money. We just quickly get back to work and deal with a bit more inventory, getting ourselves some tasty meat for the grinder to sell to our fellow town mates, and then decide to do some home improvements. Adding the first of the crafting stations we're going to in our workshop out the back here. As you can see, we've already got a couple of stations pre-made, a place for logs and a place for stone, but everything else you build on your own. Don't worry, the automat does come in handy and this workyard does get bigger as time goes on. Just like Stardew Valley, everything in this game relies on your interactions with the townspeople, and of course how good you become at crafting things. Next, we decide to do some stone cutting and make some gravestones, for the graveyard. Unfortunately, I didn't understand how much stamina it takes to make that stuff in the early game, so we end up sleeping a lot. Unfortunately, we're even this nice sleep are awoken by the same ghost. Now he's unhappy about the level of quality of the graveyard and wants us to improve his quality of life. Mate, you're dead. Go away into town, meeting the Inquisitor. He wants us to help him make witch burning cool again, and needs us to do it. He wants us to make flyers for advertising and help drum up more business, and in exchange he'll help us too. And later on he also wants us to help him make wine to sell to people at the witch stand. Yeah, it's a little weird, but at least he's going to help us. Jerry also told us not to tell him anything about the outside world that we are aware of. Again, probably a good call there, Jerry, considering he's the Inquisitor. Yeah, getting home is definitely going to be a lot harder than we thought. Especially if they're still doing this kind of stuff up here on, what is it called? Witch Burning Hill. I guess I should have known from the name, but oh well. Lastly, we spend the remainder of the session sprucing up the graveyard, cleaning it up of all the debris, and just making it look as good as possible. The main point of this game is that you're a graveyard keeper after all, and making a graveyard look good is one of the main features of this game. Of course, secondary to that is the interactions that you have with the NPCs and the townsfolk. You'll form friendships, fall in love with some people, and even be hated by others. And all of that is dependent on how you help them, what you do for them, and the different quests that you provide as you go along. There is a deep and rich storyline that I cannot wait to delve into here. So thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this first installment of Graveyard Keeper.